Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Let me make sure I'm live in the right place because I do that all the time. Mm, yes. Okay. We are live. Let me just edit it so people know, and I can take a few seconds to for people to pop on. I'll say the storytelling masterclass is now. Okay. Masterclass. All right. Good morning. Please tell me that you are here. If you are here, say good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. I would love to see who is popping on. It is so good to see you and know that we are going to be talking about storytelling today, and I'm super excited for that. So please tell me that you are on before we get started. Um, I am Shireen. If you, most of you know me, but if you do not know me, I'm Shireen. And I do help female entrepreneurs get clients and start to build brands by helping them to share their story, trust themselves, and stand out. How is everyone? Good morning, Mia. How are you? Um, awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so let's get into this. I have good morning. Christine is from Houston. Good morning. How are you? Um, let's do this. Okay. All right. So before I start, I actually wanted to tell you a little bit about my own story because some of you have never heard it and some of you already have, but still, I wanted to share with you a little bit of my story since I love storytelling, right? And we're talking about this today. So, yes, my name is Shireen, and thank you, Mia. I appreciate it. So I used to be a personal stylist. Um, Fashion is my thing. I'm very creative. I love it so much. And I love anything that has to do with anything creative. Um, and I went to school for business, and I also went to school for fashion. So both of those things are my passions. I try to stay with the fashion area. Um, Not that it didn't work out, it's just that I kind of knew that I was made for something more. I've had these visions of me being on a grander scale, teaching, being on stages, and now those things are starting to come true. So I've always had that kind of vision. Um, and but I was doing personal styling. I was working at a retail store and I was not making any money, of course, and it was very frustrating. And at the time, I was married, and I wanted to quit, and I wanted to do this. Like I wanted to teach about business because I knew I was got good at it. Excuse me. Um, but the person I was with at the time wasn't very supportive, and we had a lot of other issues. So that did not work out. And I just had a baby. So it was a lot to deal with, not making money. Of course, with my family, so they're very supportive. So I went from that atmosphere to getting a coach, and just really moving forward right after that. Some of you guys know that I grew my group from zero to 3,600 at the moment, right? My group has grown from zero to 3,600. That's crazy. Um, and then my email list has grown to like 2,000, right? I have experienced amazing things. I have experienced 5K weeks. My clients are doing 8K months, 10K months. So it is, Christine said, be persistent. That is what I did, and I encourage everyone to do because it has definitely worked out for me. So I went from zero to from like, I say like $300 in my bank account to having 5K weeks. So definitely be persistent. Anything is possible. I definitely learned a lot from my situation. Um, I was very, very, I don't know if I used to be ashamed about it, but I was just like in a terrible place. And now I'm such in a wonderful place. And I do believe that God places things in our life and everything happens for a reason. So that's kind of my story. Um, I just wanted to give you a little background there. So I am definitely doing well. Okay. Um, all right, so what I wanted to do today is actually talk about the 5 myths of storytelling. That word is kind of hard for me, myths. The 5 myths about storytelling. And we are going to break those and change the narrative, like change the narrative of what we actually should be saying. Okay. All right. Can you guys tell me, good morning, Leticia. Can you guys tell me what you do also in the comments? Because I find it easier that I can actually talk to you and give you examples if I know what you do. So please take a minute just to tell me what you do in the comments. All right. So we are going to break down 5 myths of storytelling. Okay. We are going to get into that. I have a tea over here. I'm a tea drinker. I'm not a coffee person. I don't know about you guys, but okay. All right, so all right, so let's just get into it. Um, Remember to tell me what you do in the comments. Nothing is coming. Oh, there it is. It's coming up. Thank you. Um, and I will, because I really just like to read that. Okay, so the first myth. Let's just get into it. The first myth is that Shireen, I don't have a story. That's the first myth of storytelling. I don't have a story. I hear that a lot from my clients, from a lot of different people. That just that I don't have a story. Okay. And I'm here to tell you that is completely false. Okay. You definitely have a story to tell. It may not be a rags to riches story, which is fine. I completely understand that. But it doesn't have to be a rags to riches story. Mine, if you were just in Hero, I just stated, is kind of a rags to riches story. I really didn't have anything. I was came in from not the best marriage, and it was just me, and I was wondering how I'm gonna do stuff for my baby, and working in a small retail store to now I'm having 5K weeks and um, starting to speak at different events and things like that. So it kind of is a rags to riches story, but everyone doesn't have that type of story, and that is okay. Like, I need you to know that that's okay. Like, your story is your story. Okay. Like, we tell stories all the time. Anything that you experience in your life is a story. Okay. Anything that you go through, anything that happens to you, even the day-to-day things are stories. Okay. Because a story, if you open a book, the person doesn't have to be something magical and fantastical, right? A story can just be a part of someone's day. It could just be telling you what they had for dinner. Like, your story is just your story, right? We're going to be doing this all the time. So you do have a story to tell, right? It's honestly just a matter of which story are you going to tell, right? Everyone has something to say, right? You have something to say, all right? Um, I know some people who have rags to riches story. I know some people who are honest, which is great. Who are honest and just say, like, I have a mentor that says, I came from a great background. I had a great corporate job. I'm married to the man of my dreams. I have these kids, right? I don't have a rags to riches story. But I realized that I was very unfulfilled. Like, I had all these wonderful things, but I was still unfulfilled, and that's why I quit my job and started to run a business, right? And that's okay because there's a lot of people who have that same story, if you understand what I'm saying. So it does not have to be anything, um, amazing, or it just could be anything, right? That is your story. So instead, um, actually, I wanted to ask a question. So let me ask the question. If you have ever experienced any one of these things, I want you to put comment 1 in the comment sections. Okay. So if you have ever come home and told your spouse or your partner what has happened to you today, you're going to put a 1 in the comment. even if you watch, even I know a lot of people are watching the replay. So even if you're watching the replay, um, if you have ever come home, um, and you told your spouse or your partner what had happened to you that day, comment one. If you are on the phone with your friends and you have told them what has happened to you at work, at the grocery store, any type of story, comment one. Comment one. If you have told your parents, um, right, something that has gone on in your life, right? You call them. Some of us call our parents weekly or something of that nature, right? Or once a month, I don't know. If you tell your parents something that has gone on in your life, comment one in the comment section. So I should be seeing ones here, right? I should see, I can comment one too, can I? Good, 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 good. So anything like that, right? If you have talked on the phone with your friends, you have talked to your partner or your spouse about something that's gone on in your life, definitely comment one. And what that means is, all that means is you have a story to tell, right? That's all that that means. Like we have a story to tell. Okay, that means you are you're telling stories all the time and you probably don't even know it, right? That's a story. That's a story when you are opening up and telling someone what's going on with you. That's a story. So we can now reframe that thought to from I don't have a story to tell to say basically which story am I going to tell today? Right? We're going to change it around to which story am I going to tell today? Because I have tons, right? We all put one in the comments. So that means you have tons of stories to tell. Okay? Yes? Yes. All right. So that is debunked. That myth is out of here. All right. Second one. Second one is the myth that your story isn't elaborate. Okay. Your story isn't elaborate or important enough. That's something that I see all the time, right? Um, your story doesn't have to be long. We have this idea that your story has to be like book length or the size of an article, that you have to share this very long, drawn out thing. And that is definitely false. You don't have to share, you don't have to share anything long and drawn out, right? Your story is your story. So it can be any length that you want it to be, and it can be any story you want it to be, right? There is no important enough. There is no, it has to be elaborate enough. I'm not going to give you how, like, the paragraph has to be this long with this amount of sentences. No, that's crazy. Like your, whatever it is that you want to say and you want to get out, right? The story is going to be long enough for that, right? Right? So what you should be more concerned about when we're talking about is my story, long enough, elaborate enough, which aren't the things you should be concerned about. What you should be concerned about is, does my story actually have an outcome? All right. That's the thing that we should be concerned about. Does your story have an outcome? Is it a clear outcome? Right? So basically, I want you to write your story as descriptive enough that there is a clear outcome at the end. So I don't really care how long it takes for you to get there. um, that's not my concern. I'm just concerned that you have a clear outcome. Okay. So that basically means what is the result here? Like, what did you learn? Okay. What is the result? What is the outcome? And this, don't overthink this because we do this regularly. When you are telling your spouse something or your friend something on the phone, you do not just tell a story and then you leave out the ending, right? You don't do that. That doesn't happen. There's usually always an outcome, something that you learned from the situation, something you realized within your life or you realized within other people. Like there's always an ending to the story, right? I just need to see a clear ending, a clear outcome to that story. Okay. Um, okay, yes, I had a story. So yesterday, this was just happened yesterday. I was scrolling through Instagram, and I don't think she's here, but she's in my group. And one of a coach that I know, she shared a picture of a cake, a piece of cake. I am not kidding. This is just a piece of cake. I don't know, you guys like cake, but I really enjoy cake. That's kind of why I stopped scrolling, I guess. Um, it was a piece of chocolate cake, right? And the story was, um, she talked about how beautiful this piece of cake is, right? How delicious it looks. And then she went on to say that the bakery that she got it from gave her two forks with it, right? And she was saying the nerve of this bakery to give me two forks and think that I'm going to share this piece of cake, right? That I'm going to share this piece of cake, like the nerve of those people. Right. And then it made her think about her business. She's like, you know what? That's how I feel about my clients. Like, I don't want to keep all this good information that I know for myself. So that's kind of like me giving someone else the second fork. Like, I don't want to share all this goodness to myself. That's what I give to my clients. Right. And that's what that bakery is trying to do. It was trying to encourage you to give piece of your cake to someone else. Right. Now that kind of sounds far-fetched to some people, I'm sure, right? But that is such a simple way of looking at it. It was a piece of cake, guys. We were just talking about a piece of cake. Obviously, that's something that she noted in her mind that this bakery gave me two forks, and she probably wrote it down and said, let me write this out, right? That's it. So you thinking that your story has to be some elaborate masterpiece is completely false, right? When I just gave you example of a piece of cake that turned into a story, okay? Which is what you should be doing, because everything that happens in your life is a story. It's an experience. It's something that you can share, right? And I'm pretty sure she got a lot of feedback on that post about the piece of cake. Okay. So that all of that to say is how amazing is that? Your story doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be a what you feel like is important enough. All of our stories are important. So that's why I'm using quotations, because that is just not true. All right, so we have to turn that myth around. So instead of saying that my story has to be elaborate, you can just say my story just has to have a clear outcome. However long it is however long it is, right? I just have to tell a story long enough to have an outcome, right? To have an ending, to tell the ending. That's it. Okay. Yes, do we got that? Just that's it. My story just has to be long enough in order for me to have an outcome, which all of your stories have outcomes. Every single one of them. Okay. All right. Let's go to number three. I think we're on number three. Yeah, number three is um I should make up my story because it isn't good enough. That's something I hear too. Like my story isn't good enough. Like what I just said, it isn't important enough. It just isn't good. Um, I just gave you the story about the cake, first of all. So, your story is definitely good. Anything that you put out there is good. Just that vibe that you tell yourself what you put out there isn't good is going to hinder you. Believe me when I say that. Anything you put out there, you believe that it is perfect, you did it, it's amazing, it is good. Okay, that's all your experiences, everything that you put out there. Right, so that kind of piggies off everything that we just talked about, right? It piggies off of you don't have a story, that thinking that you don't have a story, it piggies off of what we just talked about. Our story isn't elaborate or important enough, right? That feeling that our story isn't good enough, and it is just completely false. Everything that happens to you happens for a reason. I am a huge believer that God has placed me in this place at this moment, and everything that has happened to me previously is gearing me up to wherever I'm supposed to be. And I feel like that's the same for all of us, right? So things are going to happen to us. good things and not so good things are going to happen to us. I think we should share both of those things. So whatever it is that's going on with you, if you feel comfortable enough, I feel like you should share it because you never know who is going through the same things. So that is the point of all of this, right? You share something today, someone reading it can have the exact same experience, and just completely relate to what you're saying. Um, um, so that happens all the time. It's a way to connect to people. That's the way you connect to people, right? So instead of saying, I should make a story up because it's not good enough. Definitely not. You should never make up stories because you have tons of them. What you want to say is, I am just going to be authentic. I am just going to be natural, right? Whatever happens to me, I am going to share. Okay. Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, right? That's what you want to do. You want to be authentic. You want to be natural, right? That's it. You want to be as just yourself. Like, this is me being myself. We want to turn off corporate. And I know we had this conversation before with some of you guys. Like, we want to turn off corporate you, because that's not what this is, right? What we are just sharing ourselves, because what happens is people relate so much to that, to you just being you. All right, I have another story for you. You just being you. I have another story. So I was in, I think it was like months ago though. I was in a group for entrepreneurs, and one of the ladies shared that every time she has a sales call, she has to do number two before her sales calls. Like, it doesn't matter what time of day it is or what's going on, she has to do number two. She has to go to the bathroom before that sales call, right? For some people, that might have been way too much information. But she felt comfortable enough to share that about herself. And guys, the amount of comments and people who are saying like, yeah, I do that too, like, is astounding. Because yeah, maybe some people were turned off by it, but there were other people who are really like, yeah, that happens to me all the time. Actually, I have to do this before I get on a sales call, or I have to do that before I get on a sales call, right? And the amount of people that related to her just in that post was amazing. Now, those same people most likely are going to start following her, or are going to start um, looking out for her posts, right? Because they just made a connection with her just from that post alone. It might seem like a weird, nasty post, but just from that alone, she was comfortable enough to share that. And right, she's going to get a whole bunch of followers. Like, she's going to get a whole bunch of people who just are coming into her world because she decided to share that bit of information. Okay, so you'll understand what I'm saying. Obviously, in her personality, that's her personality. Like, she's comfortable enough to share things like that. You might not be that way, but what I'm saying is, I don't want you to be fake, right? Because people can feel that energy. Believe me, people can feel that energy. If people feel like you are being not yourself, like you're going to make up a story, um, they will stop following you. They will stop interacting with you, because nobody wants to be around people like that, right? You have any of you guys have fake friends before? It's not a good thing. You don't want to be people, you don't want to be around people like that, right? We want to feel like we have a personal connection to a real person, whoever you are. We want to feel that energy, right? Have you guys ever had fake friends, or someone who was one way around you and another way somewhere else? Like, give me a comment if that has ever happened to you. I feel like that's happened to most people. Like, you have a friend or someone who's one way in front of you and totally different when they go elsewhere. I don't know. Has that ever happened to you? I just think that's strange. So we don't want to be around people like that, right? Nobody wants to be around people like that. We want to be around people who are authentic, and we want to be around people who are just being natural and sharing whatever it is that you have to say. right? Letitia says yes, right? It's not a good thing. So imagine if you were saying, if you were trying to be like someone else, when you are telling your story, when you're writing content, when you're showing up live, just imagine if you weren't yourself, like you were just trying to be corporate Letitia, or you were just trying to be someone else. People can feel that energy and they're like, no, I want the real Letitia. Like, I want the real Sheree. I want the real Mia. I want the real Christine, right? And everyone else is watching. Like, I want the real person. Okay, so you have to be yourself, right? However it is you talk to your spouse, your parents, your friends, right? That's the person that we want to see. Okay, so when you're writing, talk how you would regularly talk, right? Don't hold yourself back. Like, if this is how you say things, this is how you say things. Okay, and you just keep that going. So we are going to turn around that myth from saying that I should make up a story because mine isn't good enough to I am going to be authentic. I am going to be myself, right? That's it. Whatever type of story that brings out, so be it, right? But we are just going to change it around and say, I am going to be myself. I'm going to be authentic. Okay, awesome. Number four is um, I don't have enough stories, right? I don't have enough stories, and that's of course not true again, right? That you don't have enough stories. We just talked about this, that you every time you come home, you had some of you are still working 9 to 5s, you had maybe not such a great day, you are going to tell someone, like you tell your husband, or your boyfriend, or the kids, um, your parents, your friends, right? You usually relay what has happened to you during the day to someone, or if it's just really something crazy that happened to you at the grocery store or at the laundromat, like anything like that, you usually relay that to someone, right? So you always have stories to tell, right? Are you guys alive right now? Like, you know what? Just leave me an emoji if you woke up this morning, right? Leave me an emoji if you woke up this morning. That sounds weird, but I'm serious. Like, drop an emoji if you are here right now, you're alive, you woke up this morning. Okay, I'm gonna drop my own emoji. Okay, seriously. Okay, I think I did. Okay, okay, yes, drop an emoji if you woke up, you're alive, you are here today. Um, you are blessed to see today. I want you to drop an emoji. Even if you're watching the replay, ladies, I want you to drop an emoji to say that you are here, you're alive, you are, you are with me, you're breathing, all those things. Yay! Okay, now I'm seeing emojis. So drop those emojis. And all I want that to signal to you is every day that you are blessed to be alive means that you have a story to tell, right? You have an experience that's going to be happening to you today, whatever that is. You have that, right? Every day that you're alive, something different happens to you. We're not like the same thing doesn't happen every day, right? Like there is something different going on. I mean, you might have the same atmosphere and stuff, but every day is a new day and something happens during that day. Okay? Yeah. So something happens during that day. All right. So um I'm going to give you a little insider scoop about how I actually um how I actually run my business in terms of how I um, write my stories, like how I write it down. Okay. So, I actually, good. I actually take Sunday to write down everything that I'm going to do for the week or for the month, right? I just hired a VA, so I'm going to have to give her all of my content, my stories for the month. Okay. And I take Sunday to actually write all that stuff down, right? So if I have written down previous experiences, previous stories, anything that's happened to me that I've previously written down, right? It's already written down, so I can then save that information. Okay. Plus, everything that I want to talk about, that's what I take Sunday for. I take Sunday to actually write down everything that I'm going to be talking about during the week or the month. Okay. All right. So everything everything is stored basically. Like I have stories that I have already told, plus I'm adding more stories. So I always have something coming out, right? There's always stories on my page, or I'm always talking about something that I'm going through in my group or anything like that. Right. And I can tell you how to do that because all you have to do is basically make a note of everything that happened. So let's say that you're going through your day, um, and your kid tells you something, and it made you think about something else, right? Um, then you just make a note of that. Whether you want to use Google Docs, whether you use notes, I use notes in my phone. Like I just take out my phone and use notes and actually just make a note of it. Okay. I'm not writing everything I want to say out right there and then. I'm making a note of what just happened to me. That's how I do it. Okay. If you guys want to do the same way, wonderful, right? I just make a note about it. The other day I was thinking about my dating experience. That's one I used recently. How I don't really like my dating. I don't like dating. I don't like the dating experience. So I was made a note of that. And then when I took the time on Sunday to actually write it out, it was wonderful because I knew exactly what I wanted to say, right? Same thing has happened to me um, this morning, or I think it was yesterday, when my kid, I thought about when I gave birth to my child, right? And how the experience wasn't that lovely, as in the pain and all of that stuff, right? And I didn't have that immediate connection with my daughter that I thought I would have, right? So I made a note of that because it's something I thought about this week, okay? And it's something that I want to talk about in my content, okay? So whenever something happens to you, or you are listening to music, or you're reading a book, you're listening to a podcast episode, your friends tell you something, your parents tell you something, anything that happens to you or you hear, right? Something happens at the job, anything like that, and you know that you want to talk about it in the future, make a note of it, right? Write it down somewhere. Hey, Jer, how are you? Write it down somewhere. Make a note of it. Yes? Does that make sense? Do we have any questions on how I actually do that? Um, I'll let you guys ask me anything if you have any questions there on how I actually do that. So we cannot say we don't have enough stories, because if we are writing down our ideas, we have a note, we have some time to actually write everything down, right? We have plenty of stories, right? And you can use those stories again and again and again and again and again. There are certain stories that I know that people really love to hear from me, and I use that probably like once a month. I use it over and over and over and over again. Okay. So you have tons of experiences, you have tons of things going on. Um, I don't expect when something happens to you, oh my gosh, I have to write everything down that happened to me. I have to write what I learned and all that stuff. Like you're not going to do that in the moment, right? Nobody's going to do that in the moment. So just so just make a note of what it is that you want to say, and that's it, right? And then what I do is I actually have a scheduled time set out where I can flesh all of those things out, all of those ideas out, and schedule it for the week. Okay, does that make sense? That's what I do to keep my stories consistent, coming out in a consistent manner. Yes? All right. So instead of saying I don't have enough stories to tell, we just have to be organized and be consistent. So that's what you're going to tell yourself. I am going to be organized and be consistent. Okay. Right? That makes more sense because you have plenty of things to say, tons of stories to talk about. tons of experiences. It's just you're afraid that you're going to run out of things to say, and you're not. If you actually write it down, jot down your ideas, then take some time, set up a certain time for you to actually write all the things down, like flesh out the idea, make it into an actual story, to write it out, right? And actually post that information. Okay, so all we have to do there is be organized and be consistent, because you can't just tell me a story about your life one day today and then never come back, right? That is not right, because I may have really enjoyed that story and I possibly really want to get connected to you. Like I really want to feel you. I really want to enjoy like I feel like I'm talking to you. So I really want to get that connection. And if you only give me one story, then I'm never going to feel that. I'm never going to feel that connected to you. So I need to see these stories come out over and over again. All right. But if you are organized and consistent, then it takes a load off, right? It just takes a load off. Yes? Okay. All right. So the last myth we have is I can't tell my story and pitch myself at the same time. um, that's something that I've heard as well. Like, I don't understand how I can tell my story, how I can share something that happened to me and pitch myself. You absolutely can. Absolutely can pitch yourself. Okay, so we talked about basically a lot of stuff, and that your story should have a clear outcome. Like all stories have an ending, you know that. There's always an ending or something the person learns, some type of result from that story. Okay, I gave you examples about the cake and the poop story. All of those had some type of result, right? Okay. Um, some stories that you tell don't have to have a pitch or any you selling anything, right? It could just be a matter of you wanting to share information with other people, right? Because again, that's the way you connect to your audience. Okay. So not every story has to have this grand entrance into a pitch or something like that. Doesn't have to. It could just be you getting to know other people. That's how you build trust, is you telling stories. Okay, but if you wanted to, it definitely can. Not everything's related to business, but if you wanted to, definitely can. Okay, so one of the stories, like I was saying, that I tell is the fact that I don't like dating. Um, I shouldn't say I don't like it. I'm trying to retrain my brain into saying, I used to say things like, all my dates end the same. I don't think there's anyone out there for me, things like that, right? And then I realized that I made a note of the fact that I don't like data that I knew I wanted to talk about. And then when I sat down to actually write down the story, I realized that this has to do with business in terms of the things that are plaguing us, um, probably in other parts of our life, is plaguing us in our business life. And right, because if I am putting all of these negative ideas in my head in terms of dating, and what I'm just saying absolutes, like I can't find anyone, my dates are all horrible, right? Those are the same things that happens in business when people say absolutes that are negative, like I can't sell to anyone, I'm not good at this, my offer sucks. Like those are things that are holding us back to get to the next level. Right. And I made that connection. I'm like, oh, that would be such a good post. That would be such a good story to talk about. And I wrote it down, and it got a lot of comments. And at the end of that, I said, if you have ever felt this way, I'm not a dating expert, but if you ever felt this way, you are self-sabotaging yourself into getting your next client. Right. And I made it connect to each other. Right, and that is something that you can do with any one of your stories. You feel that you want to make a connection to your business. Yes, good. Me, I'm glad you agree. Um, Anything you want to make a connection to. Okay, So you can do that with any one of your stories. Anything that has happened to you, you can therefore make a connection. If you have learned something along the way, right? And right, it doesn't matter. If it has some type of outcome, you can then connect it to your business. If you don't feel like you can connect it to your business, that's okay, right? I still want you to put the story out there because it's still connecting to people, right? You understand what I'm saying? It's still making some type of connection. So it is okay, right? Every story you put out there you don't have to pitch. But I would like you to. I any like because if you can make that connection, do so, right? There's lots of things that we talk about. Um, Someone, if you like to cook, let's give an example, like you like to cook and you show a picture of you cooking, right? Or you spending time with your children, right? You just outside, living it up, spending time with your kids. That can turn into a pitch at the end. You can talk about how much you love cooking, how much you have time now to cook, right? Or the same thing with your kids. You have time now to spend with your kids because you have more freedom, because now you make the money that you want to make. You have hit the goals that you want to hit, right? And then at the end, you say you can too. If you want to learn more about working with me, send me a DM, drop me an emoji, right? Right? The point of this is inviting people to work with you doesn't have to be hard, okay? I feel like sometimes we make it into this grand event. Like inviting people to work with you doesn't have to be hard. Any story you tell, if you feel like you could make some type of connection, and invite people to work with you, you take that opportunity because you are sharing, with your people, you're connecting with them, and then you're inviting them to work with you, just like a friend would do, right? Right? We do that with our friends. Like we talk to them enough. You They tell us stories, we tell them stories, things that have happened to us throughout the day. And then if we know that they are in need of something that we can help with, we we invite them to work with us, or we say, I can help you. You know I can help you, right? Right. So if you can, make a pitch at the end. And maybe I should stop saying make a pitch and just say invite people to work with you. This is like, I'm not going to say that it has to say something specific, or it has to be, this grand thing, right? I just want you to invite people to work with you. If you got an amazing outcome from whatever story you're telling, right? Yes. So if you got an amazing outcome from whatever story you're telling, like you learn something amazing about yourself, right? And then you say, right, um, I'm trying to think. If you learn something amazing about yourself and you want someone to avoid the same things that you struggle with in order to get to the same destination that you did, invite them to work with you, right? Like you can say like, I struggled so long, with this, but you don't have to, because I can show you how to get over this hump. Like I can show you how to avoid all that mess. All right, and we can do it together. If you like to know what this looks like, leave me a DM, like leave me a comment, message me, right? Reply yes, drop an emoji, right? It doesn't matter how you do it. And I feel like I don't want you to get into the specifics of you have to say a certain thing or it has to be a certain way, because this is your show, this is your business, you run it like how you want to run it, right? And storytelling, like we just said, is you being natural, is you being authentic, right? So however it is that you want to invite people to work with you, just do it. Just do it, and you will be amazed if you are being consistent, and you are constantly inviting people to work with you. How many people will actually reach out and say, yes, I want to work with you, right? Because I consistently see these, stories that you're putting out. I'm connecting to you. I feel like you're my friend. I relate to you, right? And you are constantly asking people to work with you. Someone who's watching may not do it the first time, right? Because that doesn't usually happen. They may not do it the first time, but the sixth or seventh time, you're telling a different story and you're inviting people to work with you. yeah, now I'm going to jump on and work with you, right? I've learned so much. I learned so much stuff about you by now, right? And now I feel like, you know what? I really need your services. So I'm definitely going to reach out to you. All right. So if we are doing this consistently, like what is all the things that we talked about? If we are doing this consistently, right, we are sharing and telling our stories because we have tons of stories. We have an outcome of the story, some type of result, or lesson learned, right? We are being authentic and we are consistently doing that. I took like all five things that we talked about, right? We are consistently doing that. And then we are inviting people to work with us. There is no way you can get clients from that. I'm just letting you know. There is absolutely no way you can't get clients from that because you're just talking, right? You're sharing, right? Your people are your friends, your audience, and they want to learn more from you and they want you to reach out, right? They want to hear from you. And then if they need your help, they are going to reach out to you, right? And if you are inviting people to, not everyone knows that you have something to offer, right? We're not mind readers. We don't know that. So if you're not inviting people to work with you, no one knows that they can work with you. Nobody knows that. Stop assuming that people know that. So that's why you have to invite people all the time. All the time, okay? Don't feel like you have to be forced to try to make a story into some type of pitch or something like that. Just talk. Just talk like you're talking to me if that makes it feel better. Like you're talking to your friends, like you're talking to your husband, um, like you're talking to your kids. Just talk, right? And if at the end of it you write down what you've learned or you write down the result, and then you say, you know what, I'm going to invite people to work with me on this one, because I can. And you could just say, if you want to avoid the struggle life, however you want to put it together, however it makes sense, however you want to make that connection, you do that. I keep picking up my tea and not drinking it. Sorry. You do that, right? So it's not as hard as we make it out to be. Okay. I have made money this way. I have made money this way. My clients make money this way, right? And we kind of just make it into this grandiose idea that it has to be a certain way, and it just doesn't. If you are sharing, if you are being yourself, that's very important. If you're being yourself, if you're consistently doing it, and you're inviting people to work with you as much as possible, as much as you can in each of those stories, you will make it. You will get clients, okay? Does anyone have any questions about anything? All right, I'm going to still talk, but if you have questions about anything, please put them in the comment because I will definitely answer anything that you can possibly ask me. Okay, it doesn't have to be about this. If you have questions about um, business in general, that's fine too. Okay. All right, so we just talk about 5 myths and we busted those myths about storytelling. We talked about connecting and being authentic and being, excuse me, and being organized, and how to sell it at the end. Okay, isn't that awesome? I hope you guys got a lot from that. All right, so I any questions, just comment below. Right, storytelling is a huge part of what I teach because I'm good at it, and I feel like it could really take you far, um, but it can only take you so much. Right? Using just the storytelling, you can make 1K, 2K, 3K. Like you can really get in there and start to make some money. Like you can. Don't like you can actually use this and start making money. I have, right? But you cannot really use storytelling alone for you to hit like 5K, 10K consistent months. Like you can't just use the storytelling, although it's very integral part. Like you can't just use the storytelling, right? So there's other things that you definitely, um, the other things that you definitely need to talk about. Yes, Jared, this will be, I'm going to leave it up throughout the weekend. Okay. Um, there's other things that you need for you to hit those 5K, 10K months, right? And that basically is you being visible in the right places, talking to the right people, right? You actually having other pieces of content that are going to convert, that's going to make your potential client give you their credit card and say, yes, I want to work with you, right? If you are not crystal clear on what you are offering and how to package that, that's something that you need to do, right? You need to make sure your social media and your website, if you have a website, is creating a irresistible brand story, because that's very important, right? Those are all things that are within my program. It's the Boss Brand program, plus the storytelling. That's all things that we talk about in the program. So just to give you some of the things that's been going on in there, we've had someone who had a 8K month. We have had people who just got really, really, really clear. I've had people cry on the phone, running around in circles on the phone because they got their first client. We have had a woman who tripled her membership. Um, we also had someone who doubled their email list. I myself have had 5K weeks, right? So all of the things are possible. Like any goal that you are wanting, it is possible. But something else that I wanted to note was that is not just about the money. Like I got into this because first of all, I was tired and frustrated that I was making no money. And I feel like it was working, well, not a lot, but it was just like a lot of like mental work, and it was just too much for me. And I knew I was made for something better. And I know that all of us are made for something better. Like I know all of us, um, I just want us all to use our God-given abilities to the best of our ability. Like I want us to take our superpower and really focus and expand on it. That's why I got into this in the first place. So I say that to say that it's not always just about the money. Like if you do the work, you're gonna make the money. That's not the issue. Um, it's really that all of this, the Boss Brand program allows you to have more time, to have more freedom. And that's things that you can't get elsewhere. Like, I want you to be able to spend more time with your kids. Like, I want you to be able to never worry about bills. Like, I want you to experience all of those things because I know that it's possible if you just did the work and looked inside yourself and actually took this leap of faith, right? So the money isn't, I know we want to make the money and get to those goals, but I'm just telling you that you're going to get that regardless. If you invest in the Boss Brand program, you're going to get this regardless. But for me, it's the more time and the more freedom and the more opportunities that you get when you do this type of program, the Boss Brand program, right? That all my clients get. And that's what's really important to me. Okay. All right. So if you are interested in that, I'm not going to give you a long thing here. If you are interested in learning more information, we don't even have to get on the phone. I can tell you everything that I have to tell you. Just comment, I'm ready, and I can get you all the details for that. For you to, we're having our next one, the middle of October is our next sign in when we're going to usher in new members. And I really, really hope that you can join us there because we've been having such amazing results. Like I said, not only with the money, because you do the work, you're going to get the money, 5K, 10K, right? Whatever your goal is, you do the work, you're going to get the money. But what more, it's just, it allows you more things, right? More time to spend with your family, more time to go on vacation when we get out of all of this stuff that's going on in the world, more time for you to be you, to self-care, to do all the things, to never worry about bills again. Like all those things are possible because I've done it and my clients have done it. And I want that for everyone. I really, truly do. That's why I started this in the first place. I really truly do, and we all can do it. It's not a one size fit all either. It's however it is that you want to get clients, that's how we do it, which I'm very proud of. Like, I've been in a lot of programs that's one size fit all, like you have to do it this way, and I hate that. So we don't do that in the program. We actually go over the ways that you can make money and bring in clients, and then you choose what you feel like is best for you. Okay, so if you are ready to do that, you can put "I'm ready" in the comments, and I can just give you the information for that. And I think if you guys are watching the replay too, you can also do that. It's fine. I'll just get back to you. All right. So it was awesome to have you here. If you have any questions, I'm here. You have me here. Any business questions or any storytelling questions. If you have questions about the program, sure, I am here. I am here for you, and you can answer that anytime you want. Um, yes? Okay. So I'm just going to wait a few seconds just in case any of you guys have questions. And yeah, that's it. Okay. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm so glad that you decided to join us. Right, I did get some messages that people will have to watch the replay. Jer, it will be up just for the weekend, and then I'm probably going to take it off. All right. All right. It doesn't look like anyone has any questions, so I am going to get out of here. If you want to DM me, that's okay too. If you feel more comfortable, DM me and saying that you're ready, and I can just get you all the information for you to join us in the Boss Brand program. I would love to have you. Or if you have any questions about anything that we just talked about, or business, or how I run my business in general, feel free to do that. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for being here with me. All right. Have a good one.